The history of the Thoroughbred is often told across centuries, tracing bloodlines back to the three founding sires, the Darley Arabian, the Godolphin Arabian, and the Byerly Turk. Yet in the modern era, particularly during the first 2 decades of the 21st century, British and Irish horse racing was not merely shaped, but fundamentally transformed by a single force named Galileo. Born in 1998 and passing in 2021, Galileo was far more than a racehorse described as perfection. He was a genetic phenomenon who reset the limits of what excellence meant on the turf. His influence was absolute. He dominated the racecourse, he monopolized the breeding shed, and he reshaped the commercial economics of the sport. Asking why Galileo changed racing forever requires examining the deepest mechanics of the game. From the biomechanics of his rolling walk to the relentless will to compete that he passed on to his offspring. This documentary offers a complete exploration of the Galileo phenomenon, beginning with his origin as the son of 2 legends, moving through his brief yet blindingly brilliant racing career, and culminating in his unprecedented reign as a 12-time Champion Sire. It investigates the vast economic empire built on his genetics, the golden breeding patterns that reshaped modern pedigrees, and the lasting legacy that continues to echo through champions of 2024 and 2025, including City of Troy. Through race analysis, breeding data, and expert testimony, the evidence leads to one conclusion: Galileo was the singular pivot point on which the modern history of turf racing turned. To understand the industrial-scale dominance of Galileo, the story must begin with the genetic equation that produced him. In the elite world of bloodstock, pedigree represents probability, but Galileo was as close to a certainty as the stud book has ever recorded. His existence was the result of royalty meeting royalty, a mating designed at the highest possible level of intent and expectation. His sire, Sadler's Wells, was already regarded as the Northern Dancer of Europe, a towering influence who had secured 14 sire championships and built the competitive and financial foundation of the Coolmore operation. Sadler's Wells was celebrated for passing on stamina and durability, although his offspring were sometimes associated with a preference for softer ground and were thought to lack the sharp tactical speed demanded by increasingly strategic flat racing. Galileo's dam, Urban Sea, was no supporting character. She was a champion racehorse in her own right, the winner of the 1993 Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, Europe's most prestigious all-aged race. Her influence as a broodmare would become historic. In addition to Galileo, she also produced See the Stars, another generational talent. The fusion of Sadler's Wells' stamina with Urban Sea's class created a pedigree described as blue blood with a dash of turbo, a rare blend of strength and brilliance. This genetic advantage was visible from the moment Galileo was foaled on March 30, 1998. He was described as the equine equivalent of royalty, a horse who, if translated into human sport, would have been recruited by the biggest teams before taking his first steps. Despite being bred from lines associated with stamina, Galileo's physical build told a more nuanced story. He stood 16.1½ hands high, approximately 164 centimeters, a bay horse marked by a narrow white blaze and a distinctive white sock on his near hind leg. He was not built like a sprinter's powerhouse. Instead, his frame reflected efficiency and balance. Observers often described him as having a lean and hungry look, echoing the famous Shakespearean description of Cassius. Galileo carried no unnecessary weight. His body was engineered for sustained high speed rather than explosive bursts of raw power. This distinction would become critical to his legacy. He did not sire heavy, fragile horses prone to physical breakdown. He produced athletic individuals capable of maintaining relentless cruising speeds across classic distances, ranging from 1 mile to 1.5 miles. This physical template, medium-sized, balanced, and athletic, became a defining signature of his offspring. It allowed them to perform effectively on firm ground and across undulating tracks, breaking free from the heavy ground bias often associated with Sadler's Wells. In this way, Galileo refined and modernized his sire's influence, rather than merely replicating it. Galileo's racing career burned intensely but briefly. lasting exactly 1 year from October 2000 to October 2001. In that short span, he redefined the benchmark for what a classic 3-year-old colt could be. Greatness often arrives later than expected, and Galileo was no exception. His 2-year-old season nearly unraveled before it truly began when he developed a summer cough in 2000, a common but disruptive condition that forced trainer Aidan O'Brien to slow his progress. Patience became the guiding strategy. That delay may have proven decisive. It allowed Galileo's body to mature without the strain of early competition. When he finally made his debut at Leopardstown in late October 2000, anticipation was already widespread. Despite the heavy ground and his lack of experience, he was sent off as the 2-5 favorite. What happened next stunned the racing world. Galileo demolished the field by 14 lengths in a runaway success that immediately installed him as the leading anti-post favorite for the following year's Epsom Derby. The winter that followed was filled with expectation. Aidan O'Brien trained Galileo with one clear objective: a middle-distance campaign. The 2,000 guineas, run over 1 mile, was bypassed entirely in favor of the Derby at 1.5 miles. His preparatory runs were decisive statements. He captured the Ballysack Stakes and the Derrinstown Stud Derby Trial in the spring of 2001. These performances felt less like routine wins and more like formal coronations. Galileo displayed an exceptional cruising speed and a temperament described as wonderfully balanced, although his groom noted that his ears were strictly off-limits, a subtle clue to the competitive fire beneath his calm exterior. June 9, 2001, marked the defining day of Galileo's racing life. The setting was Epsom Downs. The stage was the Vodafone Derby, the most demanding and prestigious test in British racing. Galileo started as the 11-4 joint favorite, alongside the 2,000 guineas winner, Golan. The race unfolded without chaos, yet with overwhelming authority. Ridden by Mick Kinane, Galileo traveled effortlessly as the field navigated Epsom's famous contours. While rivals were already under pressure approaching Tattenham Corner, Kinane remained motionless. When Galileo was finally asked to accelerate, the response was instant and devastating. He surged clear to win by 3.5 lengths. The performance was so complete that the Racing Post dedicated its front page to a single word: perfection. Kinane later described the ride as nation. The Irish Champion Stakes at Leopardstown in September became a battlefield. Historians and fans alike regard this contest as one of the greatest duels ever staged. Godolphin and Sheikh Mohammed arrived seeking redemption after their Ascot defeat. They crafted a tactical plan designed to expose Galileo. Fantastic Light was returned to Ireland, this time over a shorter distance of 1.25 miles, a trip believed to favor speed over stamina. A pacemaker, Give the Slip, ensured a relentless tempo. As the race unfolded, Frankie Dettori seized the initiative aboard Fantastic Light, securing the rail and the first move. Mick Kinane was forced to angle Galileo wide, conceding valuable ground. For the first time, Galileo looked vulnerable. He was pushed beyond comfort, chasing a rival with every tactical advantage. What followed defined his character. Summoning his trademark resolve, Galileo clawed back the deficit stride by stride. The two champions locked together in a visceral battle to the line. Fantastic Light prevailed by a head, handing Galileo his first defeat. Yet the loss only deepened his legend. The Guardian headlined the result as Galileo eclipsed by Shining Light, while praising his courage. The final chapter of Galileo's racing career came with an ambitious journey to the United States for the Breeders' Cup Classic in New York. Racing on dirt for the first time, he struggled to adapt to the unfamiliar surface and finished outside the placings. It was a subdued conclusion to a thunderous career. The decision was immediate and decisive. Galileo would retire to Coolmore Stud. The horse once labeled perfection on the turf now embarked on a new mission, not to dominate races, but to redefine the breed itself. When Galileo retired to stud in 2002, he entered Coolmore at a starting fee of 50,000 Irish pounds. In the unforgiving and unpredictable world of breeding, brilliance on the racetrack offers no guarantee of dominance in the breeding shed. History is filled with cautionary examples, including legends such as Cigar and Secretariat. Horses whose racing greatness did not translate into sustained sire supremacy. Galileo, however, did not merely defy that pattern. He erased every historical benchmark that had existed before him. To comprehend the scale of Galileo's influence as a sire, the story must turn to the numbers. Figures so extreme, they often appear almost fictional. He became Champion Sire in Great Britain and Ireland 12 times, achieving that status in 2008, and then consecutively from 2010 through 2020. His dominance was not fleeting or cyclical. His most astonishing achievement came in the production of elite winners. Galileo shattered the global record for individual Group 1 winners, eventually reaching 100 individual Group 1 scorers in 2024, 3 years after his death, when his daughter Content captured the Yorkshire Oaks. This milestone surpassed the previous records held by Danehill and even his own sire, Sadler's Wells. Beyond the elite level, Galileo sired more than 338 stakes winners, reinforcing that his success was not limited to a handful of superstars, but extended across an entire population. Nowhere was his dominance more symbolic than at Epsom. Galileo became the most successful sire in the history of the Derby, producing 5 winners across more than a decade. New Approach won in 2008, Ruler of the World followed in 2013, Australia triumphed in 2014, Anthony Van Dyke delivered victory in 2019, and Serpentine completed the sequence in 2020. No stallion before him had ever reshaped the sport's most sacred race so completely. Statistics alone do not explain dominance on this scale. The deeper reason lay in a trait that Aidan O'Brien, the trainer most closely associated with Galileo's offspring, identified as fundamentally different from normal thoroughbred behavior. O'Brien explained that most horses possess an internal self-preservation mechanism. When fatigue and pain set in, they instinctively ease off. They remember yesterday's exertions and protect themselves. Galileo's, he argued, did not operate this way. According to O'Brien, Galileo's lacked the off switch. They did not remember fatigue from the day before. If they were pushed to exhaustion, they returned the next day prepared to give everything again. He described them as strange horses, capable of delivering 150% effort on a daily basis. Crucially, he emphasized that this was not a physical attribute, but a mental one, a psychological gene that would continue to pass through generations. This trait manifested most clearly in race finishes. When rivals were empty, Galileo progeny often found something extra that logic suggested should not exist. Horses such as Highland Reel became famous for their relentless grit, while Magical demonstrated extraordinary durability, competing at the highest level season after season without retreat. This mental toughness became as much a Galileo hallmark as stamina or class. Beyond psychology, Galileo's influence was visible in motion. Trainers, breeders, and bloodstock agents began noticing a shared physical signature among his offspring, something they simply called the walk. It was described as panther-like, a fluid rolling motion that appeared to glide rather than strike the ground. Galileo did not only reshape racing, he became the economic engine of European bloodstock. His stud fee, negotiated privately for much of his career, was widely believed to be the highest in the world, peaking at an estimated €600,000 per cover. With books exceeding 100 mares annually, he was generating approximately €40 million per year for Coolmore alone. In the sales ring, Galileo offspring were treated as gold dust. In 2013, a colt out of Penang Pearl sold for 2.6 million guineas. In 2020, a filly out of Shasti reached 3.4 million guineas. In 2021, a filly out of Prize Exhibit brought 2.8 million guineas. Bloodstock agents openly admitted that participating in the Galileo market required a different financial reality. After spending 1.4 million guineas on a filly, agent Mike Ryan remarked that buying Galileos meant competing against the sovereign wealth of nations. Galileo did not simply produce winners. He built a lineage. In effect, he replicated his own excellence and then allowed it to evolve, creating a dynasty rather than a legacy frozen in time. Any discussion of Galileo's offspring begins with Frankel. Foaled in 2008, Frankel was the product of the Galileo and Danehill cross. Trained by Sir Henry Cecil, Frankel retired unbeaten after 14 starts and earned the highest timeform rating ever recorded, 147. While Galileo himself was a classic middle-distance horse, Frankel possessed a devastating turn of speed that he could sustain over 1 mile. He was Galileo with turbo. Frankel's story did not end at retirement. He has since become a champion sire in his own right, producing elite performers such as Alpinista and Cracksman. Through Frankel, the Galileo line continues to exert control over the highest levels of global racing. If Frankel represented natural genius, Australia represented calculated design. Coolmore deliberately paired Galileo, a Derby winner, with Ouija board, an Oaks winner, with the explicit intention of producing a Derby champion. The result was Australia, who fulfilled that ambition by winning the 2014 Epsom Derby, the Irish Derby, and the Juddmonte International. This success demonstrated that Galileo's genetics were so powerful they could be directed with near scientific precision rather than left to chance. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Galileo's legacy is the sheer diversity of elite talent he produced. Waldgeist embodied deep stamina and denied the Great Enable a historic third Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe on heavy ground. Churchill captured the 2000 Guineas, proving that Galileo could sire top-class milers. Minding and Magical redefined toughness among fillies, combining for 14 Group 1 victories, while fearlessly taking on colts. New Approach, Galileo's first Derby winner, carried a famously fiery temperament that he transformed into brilliance rather than chaos. Nathaniel, another son, would later extend the dynasty by becoming the sire of Enable, one of the greatest mares of the modern era. Through these horses, Galileo demonstrated that his influence was not narrow or specialized. It was adaptable, expansive, and self-sustaining, a breeding revolution that did not merely dominate an era, but permanently rewrote the architecture of the thoroughbred breed. Galileo moved into the twilight of his life. His influence did not fade. Instead, it evolved. He transitioned from being the dominant sire of racehorses into the most powerful broodmare sire in the modern era, becoming the central puzzle piece in contemporary pedigree theory and long-term breeding strategy. In breeding terminology, a nick describes two bloodlines that consistently outperform expectations when combined. No nick in modern racing has proven more valuable or more transformative than the Galileo and Danehill cross. The theory behind it was elegant in its simplicity. Danehill, a son of Danzig, injected explosive speed, early maturity, and muscular power. Galileo contributed range, stamina, and durability. When these qualities were combined, each stallion compensated for the other's limitations. The result was a blueprint for the modern classic horse. This cross produced Frankel, Highland Reel, Teofilo, and Rhododendron, among others, and quickly became regarded as the gold standard in elite breeding. It was no longer an experiment. It was a formula. By the year 2020, Galileo's influence reached a new peak as he emerged as the dominant broodmare sire in Great Britain and Ireland, leading that list from 2020 through 2025. His daughters became engines of excellence, producing champions across bloodlines and continents. Through them came St. Mark's Basilica, sired by Siuni, Satsas, also by Siuni, who captured the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, and Auguste Rodin, sired by Deep Impact, who went on to win the Derby. This ensured that even after Galileo's death, his name appeared relentlessly in the second generation of elite European racehorses. He was no longer just shaping winners, he was shaping the mothers of winners. The final evolution of the Galileo legacy is unfolding through an American powerhouse. Coolmore acquired the American Triple Crown winner Justify with a specific purpose in mind: to cross him with Galileo mares. The concept was to blend American dirt speed, bone and power with the refined stamina and mental resilience of the Galileo turf line. The results were immediate and profound. The most visible product of this union is City of Troy, bred from Justify and Together Forever, a daughter of Galileo. City of Troy, the 2024 Derby winner, was described by Aidan O'Brien as a horse with a great deal of Justify and a great deal of Galileo. He combined the powerful Justify stride with the Galileo heart, a fusion of speed, stamina, and competitive grit. The same cross has also produced champions such as Opera Singer and Rama Tuel. All signs suggest this pairing may become the defining golden nick of the next decade. On July 10, 2021, news broke that sent shockwaves through the racing world. Galileo had been euthanized at the age of 23. The cause was a chronic, non-responsive, debilitating injury to his left forefoot. Despite exhaustive veterinary care, the decision was made on humane grounds. Tributes poured in immediately, marked by reverence rather than exaggeration. John Magnier, the famously reserved leader of Coolmore, issued a statement acknowledging that Galileo's influence through his sons and daughters would endure indefinitely, calling his success truly unprecedented. Mick Kinane, the jockey who partnered him on the day of perfection at Epsom, offered a simpler truth. He said that racing would never see the like of him again. At the time of his death, Galileo's record stood as a monument to dominance. He had secured 12 sire championships. He had produced 92 individual Group 1 winners, a number that would later rise to 100. He had sired 5 Derby winners. His bloodline anchored the pedigrees of approximately 40 to 50% of all runners in the 2024 Epsom Derby. No stallion in modern history had ever embedded himself so deeply into the sport's most important race. Why did Galileo change British and Irish horse racing forever? The answer lies not simply in victories, but in probability. He did not just win races, he altered the odds of winning them. He transformed the breeding of champions from an art form into something approaching a science by passing on a rare combination of physical efficiency embodied in the rolling walk and psychological durability defined by an unyielding will to compete. He raised the baseline of what a racehorse could be. He created a commercial ecosystem where Galileo blood became a currency more stable than the pound or the euro. That financial engine fueled the global expansion of Coolmore, allowing dominance not only in Ireland and Britain, but across Australia, the United States, and Japan. Today, when a superstar like City of Troy charges up the Epsom Strait, or when Frankel's sons and daughters dominate the breeding sheds, those moments are echoes of a splash made in 2001. Aidan O'Brien once imagined the ghost of Galileo standing beside him in the winner's enclosure, quietly asking whether he was missed. The answer is written across every studbook page, every record-breaking sale, and every Group 1 trophy lifted over the past 20 years. Galileo did not merely play the game, he became the game. If you enjoyed this deep dive into racing's greatest force, do not forget to like the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more elite horse racing stories. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.